Hello everyone. In this video I'm gonna cover the Power Core Guardian build for World vs World, which became really popular since it's a really strong ranged pressure, and after the nerfs to other DPS classes like Scrapper or Scourge, which were nerfed to the ground with the target decreased from 5 to 2. So let's begin with Radiance. Right hand strength give you some precision and power when you wield a one-handed weapon, and okay, we don't run sword anyways. So retaliation grants you increased damage, and we'll see how this has a synergy with other traits. This minor trait really important for your damage when you run virtues. I will show you another variant later. So with renewed justice, every time you kill an enemy, your F1 is reset. Then we have Righteous Instincts, which is your main damage trait because it boosts your critical chance by 25 as you have retaliation, as you see here. I press stand your ground for retaliation. 25 more percent damage, critical chance. Then we run virtues. When you apply a virtue, you get some boosts, some boons, like F1, F2, F3. They all give something to you and your allies. Then here we run Unscathed Contender, since it boosts your damage by 20% while you have Haggis, and this build is really ranged, so far away, and you're supposed to be having Haggis most of the time, unless your commander goes melee, of course. But if you position really well, you can really benefit from this trait. Then here we have gain retaliation when you activate a virtue, and retaliation you grant has increased duration, so each time you press your F1 you get retaliation, also F2, also F3, but your F1 resets each time you kill a foe, so you can spam really. You use F1 for this second trait we see here, like it boosts your damage by 10% each time you press a virtue for 6 seconds, so you use it, you have 6 seconds 10% damage boost, so then in the meanwhile you kill enemies, hopefully. So this resets, and you press it again, and you have this trait basically permanent, ideally. Also, when you press this virtue, you get retaliation, which benefits from Righteous Instincts, and you have permanent 25% more critical chance. This is if your squad kills the enemies, of course. Then here we have virtues gain reduced recharge and deal increased damage for each boon on you. You are supposed to have many boons if your party does his job. Then we have Indomitable Courage. It's a break stun for you and for your allies on the F3, and also gives stability, so it's like a panic button. If you don't have stand your ground ready or anything else, you can panic your F3 to break stun for you and your allies and give some stability to you. Then we run Zeal. Here we can take Fiery Wrath for 7% more damage to burning foes. Foes are supposed to be burning most of the time, since Scourges, every skill Scourge presses is burning. Also your F1 triggers a lot, you have Firebrands, you have every class applies burning, but there is a lot of consequences, so maybe you can fail. So here you can consider this. It's 6 seconds might when your F1 triggers. Your F1 triggers every 5 attacks, but you have symbols, you have this, so you have Sword of Justice. 5 attacks really trigger in less than a second against a blob, like each skill hits 5 targets, so you can consider this for some might if your party can't cover up 25 might which can happen a lot actually. This is I'd say 50-50. Is I run this for now, but I definitely have to try also Zealous Scepter. It's your choice. Try to test it and see. Here we have symbols inflict vulnerability on foes, and damage to vulnerable foes is increased. You have lots of symbols like this and this, which has low cooldown. So yeah, maybe the enemy is supposed to be permanent vulnerability. Here we have some additional power. The other traits are really not worth. So yeah. Here symbols deal increased damage and charge your virtue skill 1 passive effect twice as fast. So yeah, it's a huge damage boost. This line is crucial. Zeal and Radiance are crucial. You can't really swap them out for this build. Like Righteous Instincts is too strong, and here we have so many damage modifiers. And the last trait, Symbolic Avenger. Your damage is increased whenever your symbol hits a foe. Max 10%, as you see. So like, you press this, you hit 5 enemies, you have 10% more damage for 15 seconds, which is actually huge. Here we can have a variant when you run Honor instead of Virtues. It's less damage, but it's a bit more safe, since you have some critical gaining vigor to you. Then you have you cast another symbol when you press a healing skill, like you press this one and you cast a symbol, which hits of course, and benefits from all the other trait lines like this, this and this. Here we have also the heal on dodge, like you dodge and the end of your dodge roll heals your allies and yourself by a tiny amount, since we have 0 healing power basically. Here we have Honorable Staff, which we use to decrease the cooldown of our staff skills. The staff skills are really strong, all of them. Line of Warding is a strong CC. You should use from afar to remove a stability stack from enemy. And if every Guardian does this and Firebrand too, you can really strip the whole stability from enemy squad, or at least some of them. And then we have Holy Strike, which is a huge damage skill, which also heals and can blast. And your Symbol of Swiftness, it's another damage skill for you. So we have the cooldown reduced, and you gain some concentration, which is not bad but quite useless now. The additional concentration might be useful if you run Zealous Scepter. As you see, it went from 6 seconds of might to 6 seconds and a half. So here we have the F2, which gives us some endurance regeneration, which is not too bad. And here we have the main reason why we can run Honor, since the symbols we use have duration increased by 2 seconds. So like the Scepter one has 8 seconds cooldown but lasts 6 seconds, so it has like 2 seconds downtime. And also the bigger radius is quite useful, but I don't know, I don't really like this build because the other one has too much more damage with 20% Aegis. Also the F1 giving retaliation. Here we have quite low retaliation. Okay, our party can give us the retaliation, and we have Stand Your Ground also for retaliation, but I would use it for the stability and for the break stun, not to boost our damage. Also we don't have the break stun on the F3, which can be really life-saving, and I don't know, it's based on your personal taste, I'd say. Like it's cool to use to have another symbol when you're like you rush melee. Let's say the enemy is here, you use everything you got, and then you go melee and you use your healing skill, and you have an additional symbol for damage. But I don't know, I would personally run this one with Virtues. Okay, let's see the skills. The healing skill, I would recommend Shelter, since it makes you basically unkillable for 2 seconds. Like, not unkillable, but you block every attack. So if you have stability, you can't be feared up, and unless they corrupt you hard. But I don't know, the other skills are not so good. Maybe Litany of Wrath, but yeah, I would consider Litany of Wrath. Receive the Light is too much based on healing power, and also its channel is too slow, you need to be dealing damage, so Litany of Wrath or Shelter. I recommend Shelter, it's safer. Then we have Stand Your Ground. You need this since it gives stability and retaliation. It can also help a lot your party and your firebrand, like extra stability is never bad. Then here we can take the Bane Signet for for more power, like you never use this, like you keep it all the time passive for the 180 power boost, and yeah, it boosts your damage by a bit. Instead of this we can run, someone runs a Wall of Reflection, but I feel it's redundant because there is a lot of reflex, like Firebrand F3 skill 3, like Warrior Bubbles, Scrappers, so I don't know, I don't think you can benefit a lot from this one, but if you place it well and you're patient, maybe you can really take some good damage by reflecting. Also, every time you reflect, you trigger your F1 for some additional burning on your enemies, which is not too bad, but I would recommend going Bane Signet. Also, it's one less skill to use, and it's a bit easier to use, like Brain FK, you don't need to use. Then we have Sword of Justice. It's another really strong skill for your damage, like when you don't have your symbols you run this. It takes a bit to cast, like as you see, before the sword starts to spin it takes a while. It's not really instant, but yeah, it's a huge damage. You can use it. It has 3 charges, recharge count 20 seconds, hits 5 targets, applies huge vulnerability and cripple, and a lot of damage actually, also almost 2k, like half of 5 hits of the Symbol of Swiftness. So yeah, it can use the on down at so you are sure you hit them, like to clip down so they don't rally. But as a lead skill there's not much choice in my opinion. Like you can use Feel My Wrath if you're super greedy for the extra quickness, so you can cast your spells quicker, but Renewed Focus makes you unkillable for 3 seconds and resets your F1, 2, 3, and you can gain access to stability, to your self-condition removal, some heal, and your F1 again. And I don't know, it's just too good. Like you are inside the enemy blob, you don't have anything to survive, you don't have damage, you press this, also in case you press it while you have some of your virtues ready, you use your virtues during it, so you have them reset, you don't waste them. The weapon skills, Scepter out attack is almost useless because it's 900 range and it can be reflected, and I don't know, it can also be sidewalked to dodge, like I don't know, I think it's quite buggy. The skill 3, if you see some target alone, you can lock it down with this. It's 2 seconds immobilize. It's not the fastest cast, but it can really change the life of your enemy. Like if you immobilize it, it is dead. Here we have our main damage source. Like on Arc DPS, you see always this as your stop skill, like almost the time. It's a symbol with low cooldown, long duration, like 4 seconds, not super long, but it hits for a lot, applies might on the area, and it's a light field. The damage is not instant, like you cast it and like 1 second after the damage starts. While Symbol of Swiftness, you cast it and it deals damage on this first pulse, like when you see it cast. So yeah, your Focus 4, it's another strong single target damage, but not your best skill, you never see here. Then we have Shield of Wrath. which is 3 blocks. It's a little panic button. 3 blocks is not a lot in World vs World against many enemies, but it's still not bad, and also can be used to blast, to blast the stealth from scrappers. Then we swap to staff. Your auto attack from staff is quite good because yeah, it can be reflected and damage and projectile mitigation, but it hits for some damage from 1200 range, 5 targets and decent damage. 5 targets on the last orb. The first orb is 1 target, the second orb 3 targets, and the third orb 5 targets. Then we have Holy Strike, which can be used as a blast on yourself, like to blast the stealth or might or healing, I don't know, but is mostly used on this build for the damage. It rapidly heal allies in the area, as you see, a little bit, and then boom, the damage, which is actually strong damage, 1000 and 400 for 8 seconds cooldown with virtues. If you run honor, you have even less wait. If you run honor with this build, you have 6 seconds and a half cooldown. So then we have empower. The commander will call for empowers to stack some might before the fight. We have 0 boon duration basically, so our might doesn't last long as the firebrands, but it's still 6 seconds of 12 stacks of might. Also gives some heals. And then line of warding, which I said before, it's a really strong CC. So the usage is basically, as you get in range with the enemy, you press your F1 and start casting your stuff. I recommend camping the scepter for like 2 symbols of this, like you use every spell you got. Stand your ground, I don't know, like here you would kill people, you Virtue of Justice resets, you press it again to have retaliation, then you press again your symbol, and it has 80 seconds cooldown, 8 seconds cooldown. This one has 15, so like you can use this twice, and when you swap back to stuff, this should be ready again. Then you use it, you use this, you auto attack to fill in. You can use the line of warding to fill. Also, of course, the Sword of Justice is your main priority after you dropped your symbols. And remember to always spam your F1, and don't forget about F2, F3 to heal or to remove condis or to break stun and stability. And yeah, this is it. This build is quite squishy. I'll get over the build for the equipment. Like the helmet, we run Berserker, Scholar rune anyway. Here we have Valkyrie shoulders, Berserker breastplate, the vambrace are Valkyrie, Berserker tassets, and Valkyrie graves. Then we run Scepter, Focus, and Staff, all Marauder. On Staff we can run Bloodlust and Force. Like, since we camp mostly Scepter, we can benefit of the sieges on Scepter, and we keep Bloodlust on the Staff. So Staff, Bloodlust and Force, and on the Scepter we run Energy for an extra dodge since we are really squishy, and we can run Force on the Focus, or the opposite, like Force on the Scepter and Energy on the Focus. Then we have Berserker backpack. One of your accessory is Berserker, one of your rings is Berserker, and the other 3 trinkets, like one accessory, one ring, and the amulet are Marauder. Here we reach 55.85 critical chance. With this, with retaliation, we reach 80%, and with 20 more for Fury, which our Revenant should be giving us, we reach 100%. This calculation is made with minor Bloodlust, which is basically always present. So yeah, the food is Dragon's Breath Buns, to 100 power on kill, unless your commander drops the 10% damage reduction food, you use it. And then you use Potent Superior Sharpening Stone for the maximum damage boost from your utilities. This is all. I will upload some gameplay in the near future, like this week hopefully, if I can get some action on my server. Thank you for watching.